Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm your Aussie teacher G, and today I'm going to be talking all about my adventure in Granada, Spain. This trip was actually a huge full circle moment for me because back before the pandemic hit, I was actually supposed to come to Granada and study. So in 2019, after I had finished 1 year of Spanish classes, I had arranged to do a study abroad program here, and I was going to study linguistics in Spanish, and I was really keen. I was super excited to get a taste of living abroad and have this brand new adventure. But then of course the pandemic hit and all study abroad programs were cancelled. So I finished up my linguistics degree in Australia with no exchange, and then of course I packed everything and ended up moving to Madrid. So I've been here for 4 years now and I still hadn't made it to Granada. But this weekend I finally did it, finally ticked it off my bucket list, and it was amazing.
So, let's dive in. My friend and I get out of school at 12 on Fridays, so we plan to stay 2 nights. We took a bus from the South bus station in Madrid and settled in for the 5-hour journey. We had a quick stop halfway and then arrived in Granada around 8 p.m. We headed to the Airbnb to check in. Gosh, there is something so humbling about dragging wheeled suitcases across European cobblestones. We arrived at our accommodation and we were really impressed. We unpacked a little and then got ready to go out for a walk. We walked through the streets just before the sun went down and took pictures of the beautiful roads, buildings, and general vibe. After a while, we started looking for somewhere to eat dinner, and after walking around a little indecisive, just browsing at everything they had to offer, we ended up landing on this cute little restaurant. The food was nice and they gave huge portions, so we actually couldn't finish it all. It was great value for money though. With completely full stomachs, we went back to the accommodation to rest before our big day on Saturday. On Saturday, we woke up at around 8:30 and got ready for breakfast. We ate a lot to keep ourselves going until an expected late lunch. Then we made our way up to the famous Alhambra. In hindsight, I really don't know how I hadn't seen this sooner. It is truly stunning. We of course booked our tickets with Get Your Guide. If you've been following my channel since the beginning, you'd know I absolutely love Get Your Guide tours. We met our guide at this meeting point outside the entrance, and she gave us these audio devices with an earpiece. Then we went through the security check, where you have to present ID. We began the tour by walking through the Generalife gardens. The Generalife is one of the most emblematic and beautiful spaces of the monumental complex of the Alhambra. It was a recreational villa used by the Nasrid rulers for rest and contact with nature. Its gardens, courtyards, and irrigation channels have made this place a reference of Islamic art and landscape architecture. The Generalife is located on the hill of Cerro del Sol, in a strategic military point with spectacular views of the Alhambra and the city of Granada. We continued walking through the palaces and gardens, admiring the intricate details of the Moorish architecture. Next, we walked through a long scenic path to the Alcazaba. I saw a lot of pomegranate or granada trees. Our guide explained that these structures are the original foundations of what used to be the market area. Next, we passed by the Museum of the Alhambra, but it was time for the tour group to have a break, so we had a quick drink and then continued on to the Alcazaba. We climbed to the top to see the views of Sacromonte and Albaicín, as well as the foundations that lay below. And finally, we made our way to the Nasrid Palaces. This was a total highlight of the tour because the architecture was just spectacular. The Nasrid Palaces are one of the most beautiful parts of the Alhambra, and they show the artistic style of the Nasrid dynasty at its best. Inside, the decoration is incredibly detailed, with carved plaster, wood, ceramics, Arabic inscriptions, geometric patterns, and plant-like motifs covering the walls and ceilings. One of the details I loved was the colourful mosaic-style tile work arranged into stars and interlaced designs. It's the kind of place where every wall is intentional and intricate. UNESCO describes the Alhambra complex as the best example of Nasrid art in its architecture and decoration. The last part of the 3-hour tour was the Palace of Charles V, which has a highly unique geometric design. It's perfectly square on the outside and circular on the inside. And with that, the tour came to an end. After seeing the Alhambra, my friend and I were literally in shock. It was such a jam-packed tour and we learnt and saw so much. We sat down and just took it all in for a bit before heading down the hill. On our way down, we walked past this small Spanish restaurant and decided to go in and have a very late lunch. We were starving and the menu was great and reasonably priced. Finally, we went back to the accommodation to rest up before our afternoon activity. That afternoon, we took this tiny little bus up the hill to the neighbourhood Sacromonte, which is one of the towns we could see from the viewpoints at the Alhambra. Sacromonte is famous for its cave houses and deep connection to flamenco, especially the samba tradition, which gives the neighbourhood its unique atmosphere. We entered a cave house to watch a flamenco show accordingly. What ensued was the best flamenco show I have ever seen. The venue was Sambra Maria La Canastera, and the experience was great. We got a free drink with our ticket, and we were so close to the action that their dresses were touching our legs sometimes. After the show, we were once again in shock. We sat down for a drink right next door and reflected on our day. It was so strange to think that if the pandemic hadn't happened, I would have lived here for 6 months during uni. It was a little bittersweet to think about. I'm happy with how things have turned out in my life, but in another version, I would have been immersed in this place for half a year. After that, we went to San Nicolas Lookout to catch the sunset. It was absolutely full of people, so we walked to a lesser known and less popular one with a different viewpoint. We took some pictures and enjoyed the sunset. Then we made our way back down the hill to grab dinner and head back to the accommodation. On the way, we got some tea at a teteria, which is an Andalusian tea house. The next day, we woke up and went to get breakfast again before coming back to the Airbnb and getting ready for checkout. We packed up everything, left the keys, and headed to a locker to store our suitcases for the day. It was really useful because it would have been a huge pain to drag those suitcases around all day. We visited the Cathedral of Granada. The ceilings and decorations were incredible. We spent the rest of Sunday doing a bit of shopping and just walking around the streets. After a while walking around the central area, we took the little bus back up the hill to Albaicín and had lunch. Afterwards, we continued walking around Albaicín, which is the old Moorish quarter of Granada, and one of the best preserved examples of Hispano-Muslim urban design in southern Spain, with narrow streets, small squares, white houses, and incredible views of the Alhambra. Eventually, we made our way back down to the locker to pick up our suitcases. We caught the local bus to the intercity bus station, and look, even the buses have a cobblestone style floor. Then we got on the long 4.5-hour bus ride home. And that's how we ended our amazing weekend trip to Granada.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check the description where I've left some links for different activities and recommendations, and stay tuned for more lifestyle videos and listening tasks. See you next time!